Hello and welcome. I'm so excited. I'm starting a K-taping series. Ktape is kinesiology tape. It's a fancy, colorful, stretchy tape that helps with various different injuries. This series, I'm going to be demonstrating a variety of different K-taping techniques for a variety of triathlon injuries. Before I continue, if you have not subscribed to my channel, you don't want to miss this series. It brings you practical, simple, and step-by-step instructions on how to apply K-taping for various different injuries. Please hit the subscribe button on the bottom left-hand side of the screen to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the bell button next to the subscribe button. This allows YouTube to notify you when I've released a new video. As a physio, I'm quite amazed by how many people just follow and copy one another. Where one goes, the other goes. We're like a bunch of sheep. We see one person doing something, we all want to do that. And the same is being for Ktape. I often have a good laugh when I walk around the shops on a weekend and they've been sporting events and you see various athletes or school children walking around with some very interesting strapping on. I often wonder where they've learned this technique. Have they just bought the tape from a pharmacy and put it on where they saw and think that that's going to make a difference? When I stop and look at the taping that these people have put on, it often doesn't make sense with regards to the principles of taping. Yes, there are principles of taping. You don't actually just slap the taping on wherever you are sore. There are certain guidelines you have to follow in order to achieve certain goals with the strapping. Are you strapping for pain? Are you strapping for a change in muscle length? Are you strapping to try and facilitate muscle lengthening or muscle shortening? Are you strapping for stability? Are you strapping for proprioception? I could go on, but as you can see, there are numerous different uses for strapping. Why do people question what K-taping is? What does it do? How do you put it on? Can you just slap it on anywhere where your pain is without expecting adverse effects? The fact is that K-taping, no matter how it is applied, already gives a 20% placebo effect. What is a placebo effect? This refers to being able to try and help your body relieve pain with a certain technique and almost tricking your brain into believing that it has actually helped. So this means that if I have a sore ankle and I put strapping on my ankle, just because my brain can see that the strapping is there, I already feel better. So in other words, before the tape has actually carried out its movement or pain relieving function, people are already starting to feel better. This is what causes this sheep mentality with people when they see strapping. Everyone swears by the sticky strapping that helps, so everybody else wants it. Even though they don't know how to put it on, they have it on their bodies, they feel better. I feel very strongly about giving patients tips and techniques on an injury if they don't have any background knowledge on it. When I diagnose a patient with an injury, I will give them as comprehensive background knowledge as I can on their injury so they know what to expect. If you were my patient, this would not only instill confidence in you, but it would also help you to be more compliant with the follow-up and the rehabilitation of your injury because you know exactly what is involved and what your role will need to be in treating this injury. The same goes for K-taping techniques. If I was someone that didn't have a clue about K-taping, I would actually want to know a little bit about the tape before someone just goes and puts it on me. What does it do? Does it relieve pain? Does it restrict my movement? What can I expect from this tape? The effects that this tape produces are mechanical, proprioceptive, and facilitatory. Wait, what? Those are some fancy terms. If you don't understand what I'm saying, I'm going to break each term down for you now. Mechanical refers to movement. So tape can either encourage or discourage movement across a joint according to the way it is applied. Proprioception refers to your brain's ability to know where all your body parts are and how they are moving at once, and to be able to correct movement according to the messages that are sent to your brain from your various body parts. For example, if you have a wobbly ankle, in the past you've sprained your ankle and you've never fully gotten the full function of your ankle back in terms of balance. So you might find when you walk over an unstable surface and your ankle is very wobbly every time it wants to fall out to the side. This is an example of poor proprioception. In the ligaments around our joints, we have little receptors that are responsible for sensing joint movement. If you have poor proprioception, what this means is that the receptors are not picking up the movement at a joint correctly, or there's a block between the receptors and the brain, and the messages from the receptors are actually not getting to your brain. A correctly working joint would have receptors that pick up movement, send the signal to your brain to tell you that your ankle is about to roll to the side, then your brain sends a message back down to your ankle to say, whoa, wrong position, activates the right muscles to pull you back into position, and then you don't roll your ankle. Facilitatory, all this means is that it helps your body to take control of movement where injury has caused it to lose control. For example, in people with runner's knee, which is a broad term we use to describe pain in the front of your knee or kind of around and behind your kneecap, people often put taping on the inside thigh muscle that attaches onto your knee, as this helps to activate the muscle earlier in movement and affects the position in which your kneecap moves in its little groove. If your kneecap moves too much to one side, you get a bit of bone-on-bone scraping. This is what causes pain in runner's knee. Having the strapping there, helping to activate that muscle earlier, ensures that the kneecap stays running centrally in its groove. You can also apply K-taping for inhibitory reasons. In simple terms, this just means you're using the tape to try and stop something from occurring. So in scenarios where you have very overactive muscles that are causing pain or causing biomechanical dysfunction, we can put the tape on that muscle in a very specific way to give it a message that it needs to calm down or relax or just not work so hard. Before we actually get into demonstrating the techniques in the later videos, I want to give you some tips and tricks for putting the strapping on. If you are a triathlete and you've done a half Ironman or full Ironman distance, I would expect that you have a relatively good understanding of your body. So firstly, for those of you that still actually have no idea what I'm talking about with regards to K-tape, this is K-tape. Generally lots of different colors. You can get blues, beiges, blacks, pinks, greens. These days they're making various different colors and patterns. The color has nothing to do with the function of the tape. The color is there merely to get your attention and make you buy the tape and make you look that much more cool while you're doing your sport. But it really has nothing to do with the function of the tape. It doesn't make the tape stronger or weaker. It's purely for aesthetic purposes. You will notice that the tape has some paper behind it. When you are tearing the tape or you're about to apply it, you want to tear it to the side so that you create a little gap in the paper where you can pull the paper off. Behind the tape, you will see almost a ripply pattern. This is how K-taping works. It kind of uses the pattern of your skin at a cellular level to be able to apply a second layer of skin. This is what gives it that proprioceptive function and makes your body feel as though it's getting another input on top of your skin. So firstly, to get this tape to stick properly to your skin, especially if you want it to stay on your skin for the first leg of your race, being the swim, you really have to make sure that you get all the creams and oils off your skin that might be on it while you're applying it. Have a warm bath or shower, just get any excess cream off your skin, and this will help the tape to stick a lot better. You also do get special sprays for taping that almost put a glue on or an adhesive layer that help the strapping to stick a bit better. These you can get at pharmacies, but what I also find is if you take a little bit of sanitizer or any alcohol-based liquid and you just rub it on that area of the skin, it gets rid of any of the natural oils of your skin, which just make the tape stick a lot better. Obviously, the quality or the price of the tape you buy will also dictate how well it skips. The cheaper tapes don't stick so well, and sometimes it's actually worth splashing out a little bit more for the expensive tape to make sure that you don't have issues with it sticking. What we also have to remember for triathlons is before we put our wetsuit on and we're getting ready for the race in the morning, most of us will lather sun cream all over our body because we know it's going to be a long day out in the sun. Rather have your bath, clean your skin dry with a nice towel, put your strapping on, and then apply your sun cream afterwards. This is a tip for the males. You might also want to consider shaving the area that you're going to strap. For those guys with very hairy legs or hairy arms or hairy backs, the strapping also battles to stick to areas of lots of hair, so just taking an electric razor and getting rid of some of that hair will really help to get that extra stick on the tape. Once you have cut the piece of strapping you're going to use, you want to make sure that you cut off all the corners of the strapping, because if you apply this with the corner on, you often find that the corner lifts and creates a little dog ear like that, and this also affects how long the strapping sticks. If you can get the whole layer to make contact with your skin, it will stick on a whole lot longer. So all you need to do is cut off the corners of your strapping just to make sure they look nice and rounded like that. When you are applying the tape, remember to smooth out all the creases and folds in the tape, as this can predispose you to developing blisters. Creases in the tape have also been shown to affect the function of the tape, because in that area it's not directly sticking to your skin and therefore giving your body an improper message compared to the rest of the tape that's spread flat on your skin. Lastly, position the body part rather than stretching the tape. Because this is stretchy tape, people are often very tempted just to pull and stretch the tape as much as they can and then plonk it onto their skin like that. This is not the aim of strapping, and this is where background understanding of anatomy and movement and a little bit about how each joint moves is important, because if you can position the body part, the strapping is a whole lot more effective than if you are stretching the tape and then putting it on. Remember, only certain injuries or conditions require that we stretch the tape. All the other times, we position the body part and we don't stretch the tape. In finishing off, there are just 2 points I would like to add. Firstly, people often ask what the difference is between strapping or buying a ready-made brace from the pharmacy. Research shows that because strapping is actually stuck to your skin, it almost forms a complete second layer of your skin. For some conditions, strapping works a whole lot more effectively than a brace because of its closer proximity to your skin than a brace. Most of you that have put a brace on before would feel that there's a degree of play that the brace has to be able to slide the brace onto the joint. Strapping doesn't have this. It is actually almost glued to your skin. A brace may serve a better purpose when you have a long-standing condition that requires a constant need of support. This is not going to be a very cost-effective way if you use taping and you have to buy rolls and rolls and apply it on every single time. Having a brace that you can put on and off more quickly is more appropriate. Maybe ask your physio or your sports doctor that you see regularly to get a custom fit brace made specifically for your injury and your joint. Lastly, one of my biggest tips to you would be don't try anything new on race day. If you know you have an injury that you're going into the race with, make sure that you use your strapping technique in your training sessions prior to race day. You want to make sure that you've got the technique for getting the strapping to stick perfectly so that it doesn't lift during your swim, that you don't get dog ears that lift on the edge of the strapping, so as you pull your wetsuit off, it gets hold of one of those corners and it pulls your strapping right off. You also want to make sure that you're able to put it on with no creases so that you don't develop any blisters. And you also want to make sure that you put it on in a way that does not restrict your movement and make movement a lot harder during the race. I hope you found this video useful, and I hope it just leaves you with some simple steps of how to apply strapping. Please join me for the rest of the series. I'm going to do a head to toe series on how to apply K-taping for various different conditions. K-taping also often goes hand in hand with preventing injuries. We've just done a whole series on preventing injuries after lockdown. If you're interested in watching any of these videos, please see some of the other links in my video. And I really look forward to seeing you in my next videos. Take care and see you soon.